The MAS office has a bunch of boxes. It's got to do something with those. Those got to go somewhere. We've got a stack of boxes in the office. I stole didn't steal, but I took 10. So I have 10 statues. What was your first gig? What was your title?
Oh my god, my very, very first one?
At EME. Like, what did you do?
I was originally hired for like to bring Scrum to EME.
Oh. Really?
Uh-huh.
So that's why you started off with, hey, I've got this Monday app, and then I came at you hard. I remember that.
You did.
I remember
You
those
were
conversations.
Like, yo, don't come in bringing in tools just cuz. And I was like, okay, well, I was told to do the thing to organize people, and I don't think I'd even really seen too much of what Jira did at that point. And then I think that's when you were like, yo, check out Jira. And I was like, oh, cool.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. I had no idea that's what you were there for. You were a member of the community team. You were working with that community manager at the time.
No, I mean, yeah, technically I was a community manager. I mean, on the community team?
Yeah, sorry. I just threw community manager out there. You were working under Brian, and that was his team.
No, dude.
You weren't working under Brian?
Hired by Ali Ubi.
You came in with Ali Ubi? I thought I just associated
no,
you
man,
with...
No, my start at NMAS was rocky.
Yeah.
Like,
how long was he there while you were there?
Not even a month.
Yeah.
So I was hired, and then he was like, deuces.
Right. Interesting.
So, yeah, it was a very interesting time.
EME, as far as I've known, has always used Jira. Like, so for 10 years, I've been using Jira, and we added Confluence in there at one point. But BlueHole, they were using their own version of, I think, Redmine, something built off Redmine, which I guess that's just what you do with Redmine. You get Redmine and you build off of it. And Tay would know more about this than me. I would write bugs, and if they were a bug that needed to go to BlueHole, they would get assigned to Darth Pika, who I'm playing with here, and he would have to translate them into Korean, and we would send them to BlueHole through their XBTS, X over mine, their triage kind of bug tracking system, and then they would convert that into their system. And I looked at their system, I was like, this is like weird, like this looks ancient, it's so basic. Like, how do you even keep anything consistent? You could just type, you could just slam your face against the keyboard, and this thing doesn't care. Where Jira, it's like, you really break it down. You could go in there and say, this is what I need. Like, we're going to tightly control versioning. Like, you cannot enter a bug unless you get the versioning right. You got to add this. And I need you to say what the priority and the severity is. And you would teach people, like, this is the difference between priority and severity. And then I loved it, man. Jira is so amazing. So sorry. I realized looking back that I came at you really, really hard. But yeah, you came into a group that had drank the Kool-Aid.
That's just what you do.
Yeah. I do. I always come with a little bit more energy than needed.
I don't have a lot of like really good memories from the beginning when I started there, because
It was like 15 years ago or something, right?
It's like forever. This was a long time ago. This was well, I don't know. It was probably 10 years ago for me.
Yeah, I was exaggerating a little.
We were doing game testing, which was more like experience. So we were reporting our experience to SJM, and he was passing it back to BlueHole. We would talk about just like our game experience and how we felt when we were leveling through the game, and how combat felt and how we think it would be improved and stuff. Every day we would go and sit in a room and just talk about what we did. And it felt surreal that I was being paid to play a game. I mean, I was hired as customer service, but there were no customers yet. So I was just sitting out on a computer and playing TERA for like 6.5 hours a day, and then reporting it, and then going home.
And that was when the majority of the zones were divided into 3 sections. You got a solo zone, a 2 to 3 person party zone, and a 5-person party zone.
It was all about grinding the basilisks and stuff. I played a Lancer, and I loved playing the Lancer, and it would take me forever to kill them, but they felt like a good experience, and it was really fun to kill them, too.
Yeah.
Like, it was difficult. When BAMs actually hurt, yep. I remember that. I didn't like it at first, because I was coming from WoW, and I was like, this isn't like WoW. I want to solo all the way to the top. And then I kind of just got addicted to it. I just loved going out, and, like, Neurosis and I would go out. He played Priest. I think he had a berserker named Jugs. It was a Kistanic berserker.
Yeah.
Named Jugs, and he would go out, and I had a female human lancer named Limelight, and we would just go out and just grind basilisks for like hours and get good XP and good loot. It was fun.
I started out playing a Sork, so I started playing before Tonka did. But we came from the same place. I started as a playtester. I did playtester for 4 weeks or so. Then I got into QA. And it was about that time, half that team refreshed and Tonka came in. When I was playing in that team, I started a Sork. I did a high elf male Sork and black hair. And he was all skinny. Called him Little Emo. And I was the first one through character creation. I was like, bam, bam, bam. And I looked around. And we were a 5-man group when we were supposed to be playing together. And I'm just sitting there looking around. And everybody's still dinking around with their character. I'm like, do I go kill things now? And the guy was like, no, just wait. I'm like, okay. And they kept, because I came from World of Warcraft. Like, I'm never going to see my character's face. None of this matters. Let's go. I waited probably 30 minutes just staring at those guys go through character creation. Then I'm running around as a Sork, and you could mount up immediately. It was just jump on your mount and go in combat while in combat. So I was just always mounting up and running around. Like, my Sork could get into some crap, and I'd mount up and run. So Laura at the time, she was our priest, she was our healer. She was so pissed at me all the time because she would be trying to get in range to heal me, and I'd mount up and run. And she was always screaming at me to stand still. But I could not, on that Sork, I could not do the BAMs by myself. I would watch Israel on his warrior. He would just go solo things. And Laura would go solo things on her priest. And I just got destroyed. And I started falling behind everybody else. Till one point, like a week in, they actually leveled my character about 5 levels because I was lagging behind. Because as a Sork, I would just die so quick. I'd get pounced on once by a basilisk and it'd be done. But I'd be screaming for them, guys, I need. They're like, I'm soloing, I'm good. I'm like, I need a party. Well, we're good. I went back and started looking at the folders that I had for all the old TERA stuff. And I found all of our old test passes. Because when we were first testing, before we launched the game in NA, all my test passes were insanely deep. Like, they were hours and hours on end. We had one test pass where you would fly every flight path in the game to make sure it worked. And looking back on that time, it'd be like, there's no point in doing this. But I probably made testers do that test over 100 times at EME. There was one time Tony, when he was on the platform team, they had an update for our launchers, and they put in a rule to where you couldn't launch the EXE more than once. And somehow that just didn't go through QA right away. Like, people didn't know that was a thing. They were just going to release it. And then when QA got their hands on it, they're like, hey, I can't launch multiple clients to test out some stuff. And they're like, what? Like, yeah, I need to launch multiple. Like, why would you ever need to launch multiple clients? And you're like, do you not know what we do? Like, how many people do you think work in this department? Like, we don't have hundreds of people. You know, we all will run like 5 to 6 clients sometimes to test things. And like, that's just stupid. Like, and we're like, either way, we have to be able to launch multiple clients, and our players are going to be pissed if they can't launch multiple clients. Like, why would isn't that a violation of TOS? They're like, no, it's not a violation of TOS to launch more than one client. It was such a struggle to convince our platform team to remove that. I got 30 things I want to get done today, and I got this build that makes multi-boxing dead. We had a bug once that the community kept drilling me on. They're like, when are you going to fix this? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. It was archers would wind up under the ground when they used like their feign death skill, whatever it was called. They would end up under some of the floor texture. And I'm like, I can't repro this. I can't make. They would send me screenshots, and I'm like, dude, I get it. I see it. I don't want to give you a crap argument like, well, that can't be the game, but I can't reproduce this. I don't know what to do. And it came down to, it was only Amon female archers, and no one rolled an Amon female. That was the low. Amon female archer was at the time the lowest rolled character in the game. That would have been one of the things at the very beginning. Somebody reports a bug, give me your specific details. Amon female archer. That's all I would have needed. I would have repro'd that bug. When I first started QA, my biggest allotment of work was learning what our writers' rules were, like things like ellipses, like finding how they said that the game would do ellipses, when to do them. Like I would just take that and run with it, and I would go through every quest and look at all the dialogue and be like, okay, bug, and I'm just bugging localization, stuff that ultimately did not break the game, anything like that, but as a publisher, that was one of our core things, make sure the game was localized. And I would just send hundreds of bugs a day to the writers, and they would get pissed at me. Like, why are you sending? I was like, you guys screwed this up everywhere. Like, this is all broke. Like, okay, we get it. And then just spending that week working. So it shaped me to realize like how detail oriented you need to be, how important it was at the beginning to have a scope. Like if you said this is how something will work, that is how it's going to work. And it didn't come down to, did I like it one way or the other? It was, this is what is supposed to happen. Does it happen the way it's stated? If it doesn't, bug it accurately so that somebody looking at it within 5 seconds understands it doesn't work the way it's supposed to be, and it has a direct link back to where it's supposed to be working. So just that idea just instilled in me this way to do it, right? And I would see new QA people come in, or new people come in, and they would skip all those steps. Like they just didn't know how to communicate one thing from what they were seeing to somebody else, or didn't know how there would be these ingrained rules. Like they would take little things for granted. So no, man, I learned so much doing that stuff. QA built me. I tell the story to everyone. When we first started working on TERA,
Yeah.
you and I came across player complaints that our stats were goofy. Crit mastery, chance to crit chance. Like it was all gobbledygook. It didn't make any sense. Because you're bilingual, because you know Korean, you solved all those problems. That was amazing, Tay. That was a great time in EME history. We identified a localization issue and worked for quite some time to solve that. Aren't you proud of that moment when you look back? You're like, oh, it was great. We did this thing.
Yeah, that was fun. Took a long time to.
What was it? I can't ever remember what it was. It was three different. It was one Korean term, and we had three different versions, right?
Started with the crit thing.
Was it three different things that we had? We had chance to crit rate, crit factor, crit rate, and chance to crit. And that was all one word in Korea. That was one Korean term. And we had three different terms, right? I remember we asked for the formula. Like, hey, just the players think they know how crit works. Can you send us the formula? And they're like, this thing is crazy complicated. No, we're not going to send you the formula. Ultimately, we didn't need the formula, so they were right. That was the wrong way to go about it. It was just terms. I remember the writers didn't like characters with two names. They didn't want a first last name. They're like, no, nobody in the world of TERA has a first and last name.
Dude, you have such a good memory.
I spent a lot of my time at EME when I first started in QA just going through and bugging the hell out of the writer's work. I think we still have the campfire and charm loading screen in the game, don't we? Don't we still have the loading screen with the? Oh man, I think there's like 2 or 3 Elin standing around a campfire throwing the charm into the campfire. Charms haven't existed in the game forever.